here.
Ready? So
welcome to the groomer's cut.
So Dara's having some trouble with her camera and her mic today. So you are stuck with me and Jennifer, which Jennifer is awesome
they're not
on the
stuck.
road.
They're gonna be in
She's
great
multitasking
hands.
right now.
And I will be pulling over to rest stop.
She's
There's a rest stop
multitasking. She's
coming
on
up
the
here in
road.
just a couple of minutes. Well, I've been driving back. I've just come from Intergroom. And I came from the Seattle show last week. I drove coast to coast. I did this sort of personal sojourn. I actually drove to both shows, back-to-back weekends, Seattle and then Intergroom. So I can give a little report later if people want to do that. But I've got a rest stop coming up here in just a couple minutes, so I'll be pulling over. So you tell us about you tell us about the topic for the month, and then I'll be pulled over by then.
So I don't know what the topic is for the whole month, but for tonight, it just blanked out on me. I've got it in front of me. New or improved styles, and what do they get? Why do they get groomed that way? Just kind of thinking about the why and how styles change and new looks that are coming up. And I think this is kind of a neat topic because styles definitely change. I was talking to somebody pretty recently about. Oh, Dara's trying to get on.
I think I'm here.
Hey,
do I have
we don't
audio?
see you.
All right, you're not going to be able to see me again. Maybe my mic will, my computer, but I will be behind the curtain. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but keep going.
Well, no, Dara, we just life in the country. I'm assuming that you haven't got your fancy line to the internet run out to your new rural, more rural property.
That's the problem I have. And I think it's something with StreamYard, and because I had problems on Zoom today, I think because Lori and I share, I think it has something to do. So I got to do some troubleshooting this week. I'll have it cleared up next week, but it's very frustrating.
Well, at least we have your voice. That's good.
Yes.
So
and we have Groomer Jen in there. Hi, Groomer Jen.
Yes. You're going to have to do the chat room because I'm doing this from my cell phone in my car. Like I said, any minute I'm pulling over, but I'm driving back from Intergroom. And I can say in terms of, look, I've been grooming for 40 years, so I actually do feel like I have, off and on, not full time, but I've been doing, I've been in it long enough that I have seen styles change a bunch. And what I saw this weekend at Intergroom, what I saw in Intergroom is completely new. Like they are doing stuff in, in some of the competitive classes that are not traditional breed style. They had, gigantic heads that were, almost, psychedelic-y, punky, in some of the freestyle competitions and in some of the, all other purebreds, and they have a new category of competition called Rising Stars mentoring. So the Rising Stars mentoring competition had some very good up and coming groomers and one of them groomed my dog Bowie, who's behind me in the car in a gorgeous lamb cut done by Emily Shannon, who grooms with Foxy Roxy. But they do it with mentoring, where you actually, while you are competing, you have some of the top people in the country, like Sue Zecco and Terry DiMarino and so on, and Kathy Rose and people like that. They come up and they mentor you while you're competing, which is very cool.
That is so exciting.
Yes, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, they got a lot out of it. So it's and there is definitely different looks. You've got somebody like a Blake Hernandez that brings into the industry a whole new cut, the Desi, where you do a banded. I mean, banded cuts were huge on poodles. Royal Dutch and Town and Country and all of those things.
Wait,
from the 80s.
I'm gonna stop. What is a bandit cut?
So that's when you cut. That's when you're trying to
shave a band.
Shave a band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep.
So sometimes
so-
it's a thin band that kind of comes up from like the rib cage up, or
Yeah.
you know, down the middle of the back, and then
Yep.
separates the legs and makes them
Yep.
look like a jointed teddy bear. There were a ton of different versions of
Yes.
that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that.
And this is primarily poodles. You're not going to be able to do, you're not going to see a lot of unusual styling on the non-curly coats. The curly coats are the ones that are going to really be your style markers. And poodle styles have definitely changed over the years.
So there's also in the show ring in confirmation, they're changing too, because they're now allowing the
Yes.
modified continental. So
Right.
that if you are actually
or as
using
they call
your
it, they call it the HCC, the historically correct
That's right.
continental.
That's
which,
right. I
'cause
forgot that it
is.
was HCC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. But if you are actually hunting with your poodle and trying to do that along with conformation, now you have an easier time trying to manage that kind of fur. It's a lot of
Right.
hair to take care of. And a lot of those styles change over time too. I was talking to someone recently about how Bichon heads used to be like a bell shape. It
Right.
was like this kind of bell wedge, and now they're very, very round.
Right. They used to be like a rounded across the top, but
Like a
more flat
gumdrop.
across the bottom. Yep.
Yep. Little
That
gumdrop.
was the correct way to do Bichon. Yeah, a gumdrop head. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what Bichons. That's the way I learned Bichons, and
Yeah,
now they're
yeah.
perfectly round. So there is, and of course, in a pet, pet grooming, and oh, hooray, my rest area is here, so I'm pulling over people. You're worried about me driving while I'm doing this. So the what we do in competition and what we do in the best of our grooming industry is not always what you're going to do on a pet. You're not going to want to put the average pet in a Lindsay, Dick, and Bichon perfectly round, huge head, right? Because the dog would be a matted mess within a week.
A lot of these newer styles, I think, are very friendly for pet owners. So some of my favorites that I try to talk owners into are the German look for the poodles, like that German ear.
I
and the
love
German tail.
the German look. That's
love that look.
favorite.
Yeah. And that is so user-friendly for owners. And at first they're like, oh, I don't know. And you really have to kind of show them like it's really elegant and easier for them to take care of. And some of those, some of the Asian fusion styles, like you can add a little bit of flair to a dog who's basically getting a short all over, and I just think it's kind of exciting. It's kind of fun.
It is, and the Asian fusion is definitely one of the biggest style additions in the last 10 years.
Oh,
and it's
so
because
fun.
of the rise of the Japanese groomer. But there's actually, I actually talk about this in my in my seminars. There's a science behind that, the appeal of that Asian fusion face, that little round face with the big eyes. And, they're actually doing what they call pedomorphism, which is where you're making it look like a little human baby, and it appeals to a certain part of our brain, and we actually get a dopamine hit when we look at this little round face with the big eyes that looks like a human baby. So there's actually some other forces driving those styles.
I'm never going to be able to look at Asian fusion again.
Why?
After that, well, I mean, not again, but in the same way, because
that's the appeal of all the little round faces, though.
That's why we bred some of those little round faces. Yeah.
That's the whole reason why pugs and Shih Tzus and the dogs that are deliberately with shorter muzzles and with the big eyes and the little round face, they actually do appeal. So there's been whole studies about it. It's in my PowerPoints.
So Crystal is here in the chat room, and she says, Jennifer, I know you're driving and won't see this right away, but I have to say that your class at Intergroom was absolutely incredible. I adore Sue Zecco, but regret missing the last part of your class to see her poodle class. I had a front seat and it felt rude to walk out. And then she also says she's looking forward to taking your class again, hopefully.
Actually, I'll tell you, I'll tell you I debuted in person the Encyclopedia of Dogs class at Intergroom. I
Great.
had done it online with WorldGroom, and listen, in the last hour, I basically just kind of did a summary of the coat types and stuff. So actually, you got most of those published studies. Basically, the whole course is published scientific studies about
Awesome.
dogs, and it's
Awesome.
all peer reviewed stuff. It's all being published and at the top levels of the science field, and it's a really, I think I'm glad she liked it. I'm glad to hear that feedback, because
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
it's sort of college material, really, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fun to see an audience
She
for with
says
groomers.
hands down it was her favorite class.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Excellent.
I hope she left a good review with Barkley, because
Yeah,
I'd love
write
to be
good
able to
reviews
do
for
it again.
Barkley. Tell
Yeah.
Barkley
So
and any other show organizers that this is the kind of stuff you want more of,
yes,
'Cause,
really a lot of material.
yeah, until I started actually putting out my own content, I didn't realize how much of a passion project it is. Because it's
Oh
like my
yeah,
passion project, but everybody I talk to who teaches anything, it's their passion
hundreds of hours of research. I mean, just to put the
Oh, yeah.
PowerPoint together, hundreds of
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah,
So, but
crazy.
anyway, let me just say
I
this about
gotta say really quick
style
before
changing.
you go in there, because
Okay.
Crystal also said that Victor recommended not doing Asian fusion because it's so low maintenance and can make look, there I am and I'm frozen up, but I'm still here. So low maintenance and can make clients book less frequently.
Mm.
Well,
And
if you're doing
Amber
a
writes
7,
in here too that Asian
7 on the
fusion
body, yeah.
definitely takes a lot of skill.
Yeah,
And I agree with that, but then at the same time, there are some little bits of flair that we can add with Asian fusion without
Right.
necessarily having to do. I have a little
You can be
Schnauzer
whimsical.
poodle mix that I just give like a slight flare out at his feet. Just a little bit of a bell bottom look on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
And the owners are like, they love it. And really, I'm taking him fairly short. It's a pretty modest little trim, but just that little bit of flair. And they're like, oh, he's got Asian fusion. And I'm like, they love it.
So
why not?
So let me go back. Let me go back and start with how styles have changed over the decades. And one of the major things that has happened in grooming style over the last 40 years is the movement. First in the in the 70s and the 80s, we had these Royal Dutch and Town and Country. We had a lot of we had what was called a toe blade, and it was actually like a 10 or a 15 blade, but it was only
It's
5/8.
very narrow. Yeah,
very
it's
narrow.
actually
And
like a
you could
regular
actually
looking blade
draw,
that tapers off into something
and
very
they actually
small.
use them now in the creative
Yeah.
design class, the creative design competition, where people are making very intricate patterns, where you're actually back to carving very intricate patterns. But we actually were doing, the placement of a band around the neck, a band around the belly, a split stripe down the middle of the spine, so that you would have just hair kind of on the legs, big poofy on legs and shoulders and legs and back legs and hips, and a big top knot. So they were really, that was actually a lot more work, because to scissor the edges of each of those patterns, that was some serious work.
Yeah, we did a lot of
Luckily,
those. A lot of
Yep.
those. And they're a lot of fun.
Dutches,
I
Royal
kind of want to
Dutches.
see them come back more because they were a lot of fun.
They were fun, but they were more time consuming. You really have to charge for your time, and to place the pattern, to anatomically do it. So that was another thing I wanted to say, is that the number one piece of advice to the average groomer who's not going to be doing fancy poodle styles or competitive stuff is you want to develop your own style based on what your clients like, but you also maybe want to develop, first of all, I suggest a signature style, something that's, your shop is known for, a sideways ponytail and a bow, or I don't know what, I'm making, something up, but you want to
That's
your
a great
shop to be known
idea.
for something. A signature style is a really good thing. But for my shop, what I'm known for is breed standard. Like, people come to me, they bring Lagotos from an hour away, because I will do them in that rustic curly coat. I will let the coat dry naturally in the wet ringlets and let it form those hard ringlets. And they, rather than blow it out and do it like a poodle, like a lot of shops do. So developing your own style is good, but you can do your style based on just the anatomy of the dog. And I wanted to just close with that point, that the most important thing in your style is based on the anatomy of the dog. You want to do things called corrective grooming. You want to make the dog look better. So if you've got a dog that's, let's say you have a Shih Tzu, but it's way too long and the legs are short and the dog just looks like more like a Dachshund than a Shih Tzu, you can actually, move the hair around in order to make the dog look visually shorter. And
or
same
dogs
thing
with a weird little bend in their leg, and you can do a column leg that almost masks that. And
yes.
Some of those little column legs are really nice for just kind of hiding some of these little faults. Then they get moving, and you might notice it. But that's a little bit of style and flair that I think many of us can add. That is just kind of fun.
If you have a dog with bent front legs, then you leave more on the inside where the bend is and less on the outside where it sticks out, and you actually can make the dog look better. And likewise, let's say all poodles are supposed to be square. It says so in the breed standard. They're supposed to be equally as tall at the withers as they are long from point of shoulder to point of rump,
which is very hard to get.
It is.
That's
I have it with do you see this boy? Does everybody see him?
Yeah, he looks great.
Yep. Yeah, he got groomed by Emily Shannon at Intergroom. So my grand champion, he's perfectly square. He's beautiful, but he's a show dog. If he was like most of my pet poodles, a little bit too long, I would leave more hair on the front of that back leg and on the back of the front leg, and I would slope the neck down, a little bit more hair on the back of the neck, and aim it towards the middle of the back so that the whole eye is drawn to the center of the dog, and you make them look shorter. So a lot of your styling, I think, the first thing you should do is sit down and look at the anatomy of that dog and say, what could I do to make this look better, to make it look more square or more round, more balanced? Maybe it's got a really big rear end and a really little head, and you want to balance that out. So I think the 3 artistic principles are balance, blending, and outline. So I
would add symmetry
and outline.
I would add symmetry.
That's what this is what I teach. I make this up for my staff.
Sure.
But it should be balanced, side to side, end to end. The 2 legs should be of equal, the front legs and the back legs, the right legs and the left legs, the 2 ears. If you have a huge head, you want to have some big tail too to match it, that kind of stuff. So it's just balance. Blending is, you don't want, unless it's a pattern that you're supposed to have a dramatic short to long. But I really think that some of the worst work happens in grooming, where people, like, they're doing a short back on a schnauzer, but they don't know how to blend it down into that skirt, that kind of stuff. They're usually going too short and then to too long, and they're not blending it well. And then an outline where you're lifting with your comb and you're going after those sticky outies. So I think those are the most important styling principles to correctively groom any faults in the dog and make it look better in terms of the anatomy, and to use balance, blending, and outline. So that's my message in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that we tend to think about
blending and outline. Boom.
Yeah. I think we tend to think about style and think about dogs that get full trims, but there's a lot of styling involved with things like the average golden retriever, and that I think that we all have kind of a different view. I really like, because I have border collies, I really like my natural dogs to look natural. Even if I spent all sorts of time hand mucking them out and hand stripping and plucking and thinning shears, the best compliment you can give me is like, what? So he doesn't get any trim? I'm like, oh, excellent. I like them looking really natural. But I think that we all have our own little style with that. And there's some flair to that too. Really spending time doing like a nice golden retriever foot, like that nice tight foot without exposing every toenail. Like, I think sometimes like toenails get exposed and that makes their feet look like they're like claws, like alligator feet. But
Yeah, and
you know,
especially if the nails are extremely long.
yeah, and
Oh,
sometimes you
which is
can't
bad.
avoid it,
Yeah.
like you're like, okay, this dog is older and their feet are flat, and
Yeah.
but like but I really kind of like each individual dog. Like, how can I help this dog look its best? And if that's
Right.
some sort of a stylized trim, but like some of these guys, I think really natural dogs are really pretty, even if I do a lot of trimming to make them look that way.
If you have a purebred dog, I am with you. That's why I love you so much, Chrissy, because I completely agree. If you have a purebred dog that has a breed standard look to it, to execute that breed standard look, and if you don't know what it is and it's a purebred dog, go to some dog shows or look online at some pictures so that you get a sense of what the dog really should look like in its ideal form. But if you've got a mixed breed dog, you really can go with, you could have some fun with it. Ask the first question I always ask every owner if it's a new dog to me is longer or shorter. They'll say, oh, I don't know, whatever you want to do. And I'll say, okay, longer or shorter first. And like, assuming that, probably 40% of our haircuts are doodles at least, if not 50%.
Yeah,
That we're
a lot.
doing a lot of beards, a lot of heads, but there's some, I'll just give you an example of how styles can be very regional or very faddish. And I don't know how this started, and I don't know if it's nationwide, but it's certainly on the North Shore of Chicago, all the suburbs up on the North Shore. Somebody started doing their doodles with these big lion mane heads, where you're doing the body maybe with like a 1-inch attachment comb, a nice normal body, but you're putting, basically from the withers up, you're putting the dog in a giant, full length, never been trimmed, mane of a lion,
Ooh,
including very shaggy
interesting.
beard. And this is a fad
Yeah.
in my neighborhood right now. And we
Ah.
now have, it started a couple of years, we had like 2 clients that wanted it. And now it's like half of our doodles. They want these big heads. And it's crazy, but it's a fad in our neighborhood. So like styles can be, driven by, what's popular in a certain area too.
So working at the school, which is up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, right? A lot of these dogs play on the beach, right? There's a whole lot of like, just take them really, really short so that they can get filled with sand every darn day, and still give them some sort of like a little bit of style and flair, like, and sometimes even if you're doing a short all over, you can take it the outer edges of the leg short, and just leave a little bit on the front of the leg and the back of the leg to just give it a little bit of something so they don't look like they're all elbows, If you take them too short, they just look like they're in elbows.
And if you have to do them short on the body, at least do something cute with a head, or something cute with a head and tail. You can do if you have to kennel cut a really matted dog, which isn't great for them, don't ever try to go shorter than a 4-blade if you can, just in terms of that Langerhans cell science that we know about the sun causing, and we have really good data now about the sun causing skin cancer. So it's really a good idea to leave them at least, Dr. Cliff teaches 1 inch. That's a veterinarian, one of the top skin veterinarians in the country. So, and he says you really need about 1 inch to protect them. But certainly if you have thicker, darker hair, you could go shorter. But, even if you're taking a body short, if you can do something stylish with a head, okay, if they're really matted, you don't want to demat them. But if you could maybe you could shave the ears and do cute little ears if the ears are really matted, but you can still, take a few minutes and brush out the face a little bit and do a cute little round face, and, make a tail to match it, and make sure the 2 of them are kind of balanced. You can't go wrong with a little round head, whether it's on a big dog or a small dog.
Yeah, and there is something to say about balancing the amount of tail to the amount of head.
Yes.
Like sometimes it's like, here comes Sparky's tail. Oh, and Sparky's with him. Like you kind of need a little bit of everything.
Yeah, sometimes
not just big tail or big head.
Groomers are not. Yeah, groomers that don't trim the tails at all. That's actually a bit of a problem. That's got to cause matting and pooping.
Well,
I think.
At the end of the day, we're usually trying to match what our owners want or need, but if we can talk them into something a little bit cute. So my question for people who are listening is, do you guys bring up pictures of dogs for owners to look at? Like when I talk to owners about like, hey, let's do a German ear on your poodle who keeps coming in with matted ears, like I bring up pictures. Do you guys have pictures that you use for people?
I mean, in my shop, we have a big screen computer on the front desk for our check-ins and checkouts. So I'll just go to the internet and I'll say, pull up like if I want to show them what creative grooming is, or if I want to show them, what a breed standard look would be, I will just quickly pull up pictures on the internet. So I don't physically bring pictures, but I pull them up on the computer every single day. I mean, that's common. I think it is important because owners need visual, and if they want you to do something cute, they might not have ideas about what that would be.
That helps them tell and get what they want, because if you're not somebody who can read between the lines of what the owner is saying versus what they actually mean, that's
hard too.
Of people, that's where that miscommunication comes in, because they're trying to say something and they're not saying it in groomer lingo. So you have to learn to read between those lines and figure that out. And not everybody can do that. That's a skill in itself.
It is. And you're right. That's a huge problem, Dara. You are so right that when the owner comes in and they want something, but they don't know what they want, and then you start with a longer or shorter, and big head, small head, beard, no beard, you offer them
or you show them some pictures, and then you're able to kind of take a look and go, but your dog's ear leather is longer than the dog in the picture. Like your dog can't have that
it's not going to look exactly like that.
Because but so we have a couple of things in here.
Let me just say one more thing before you do that. Let me tell you one more thing. You can add, you can do creative even without doing the whole dyeing thing. You can get these little blow pens and stencils, and you can take a lighter colored dog and you can just blow pen on a stencil, and you can put a little Christmas tree on at Christmas time, or a little heart at Valentine's Day. You can do stylistic decorative things that are just quick, easy add-ons, very inexpensive, and people absolutely love that stuff. So, I would ask first, but I think the blow pen, easy application of something that's temporary and colorful can also be a great addition. Sorry, go ahead.
I did blow pens on a couple of my customers. For Halloween, we did candy corn tails, like just the tip of the tail, candy corn. Which I did on my border collies too. And then at Christmas, I did just a couple of stripes to make it candy canes. And people were like, oh my God, it's the cutest thing ever. Just fun. So Amber says that she puts up photos and displays them on the desktop at check-in, as well as having her own reference, her own work. And Groomer Jen says she advises her owners, I avoid trimming so short that I can see skin. It seems to clearly communicate that very short lengths are too extreme. And she says that they are happy to let her set that length. That's good.
Yeah.
And Anna says she does show pictures to her clients on the south side of Chicago, but it seems that people want short, low maintenance haircuts. And, and she's excited to be working with Jennifer once a week.
Yes, she has come and visited my shop, and she's really got, God bless groomers like you, because you want to actually up your own game, and you're willing to take your day off and go do that. That's awesome. It's really great. But no, I think that knowing the lifestyle of the dog if you're trying to question an owner as to what style they might prefer, you do need to ask those lifestyle questions. Is this a dog that goes swimming? Does it love to play outside all the time? Is it a coat that mats more easily? Is it a small indoor dog that, basically is just running around the house all day? Those can influence your choices too, because you want to be practical in your style.
Yeah. And being practical is important too, because if we have an owner who, is always wiping down feet and they want poodle feet, there are times where I'm like, your dog is no longer going to be getting poodle feet. I can give you a really short foot, but like your dog is old. Your dog cannot handle poodle feet anymore.
I don't do poodle feet after the age of 10. Really? Yeah, I don't do Yeah, because
Ah,
you're spreading
I've never
you're
had the
spreading their
checkout
toes.
moment,
It
but
hurts. If they've got arthritis at all in their feet, and you're
yeah.
pulling those toes and spreading and digging with a clipper to make a poodle foot. No,
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
some
do
of
it on
these
my own
poodle people
poodles.
are like, but it's a poodle and needs poodle feet. Well,
Yeah, you get that a lot.
yeah. First of all, have you taught your dog about having his feet touched? Have you done any work to prepare him for this? And second,
Yeah,
there's just a point where they age out of that. Yeah, it's too
Yeah.
much. But plenty of dogs don't get poodle feet and get a really short foot, and it's really easy to take care of in the
yeah,
mud. And I think that owners just don't get that. So we have to tell
right.
them, I can do short enough so that your dog can, be comfortably cleaned off.
Yeah.
Right.
So Groomer Jen put a remark here too.
Yeah.
My clients and myself both take post-groom pictures and compare years past and make decisions to go longer, shorter, or change shape based on the evolution of the dog's groom. That's kind of cool.
I love
It's
that.
kind of fun to discuss trying something new for the dog, and also posting pictures on my Facebook page draws requests from other clients to give them the same trim to their dog on the next visit.
Excellent.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I have a couple of customers that over the years, because I will take, when I'm doing my house call, I'll take a picture at the end. And just over the years, it'll pop up as a memory. And it's like, oh, here he was 2 years ago, but he was a different guy 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I could do that trim on him, and then the evolution of like, let's just take his face really short. He needs that gooey medication in his mouth every 2 hours, and just that, adjusting and modifying. But really, I think we can do lots of style and lots of flair, just a matter of picking where. Sometimes it's just a matter of taking a little bit more off in one area, not even necessarily building it out.
What you see, that I was going to just say that what you're seeing right now in the poodle competition show ring among groomer competitions, people that are, vying for groom team, they are taking the rear leg of a poodle much tighter. They're doing a much more extreme point of rump so that let's see if I can do this, a flat back with a 30-degree angle on the croup, and then you do a 90-degree turn in direction on the point of rump, so you leave that little piece of hair sticking out at the point of rump. So then it goes super tight on the curve of the back leg, and then down below the hock, it's this huge, flashy puff ball at the bottom, so that you're showing the angles really extremely, and that's very stylish too. That's flashy. That's super flashy.
Very flashy and super neat to do.
If I could pull Bowie out and show you the way his leg is right now, it's like that. The whole upper part, especially on the back of it, is super short, except at that point of rump and almost to the skin. And then just above the turn down to the hock, it starts doing this big flare out, and it's very stylish.
Yeah, and super neat. So they take like along your top line and then sort of like where the pelvis angle would be, whether that dog's pelvis is the right angle or not. And you're just
that's called the croup.
Trim it in. Yep. Ilium and ischium.
I'm gonna say most haircut dogs have supposed to have a flat top line and then a 30-degree drop on the croup, and you can actually make a croup super short and make it look, that's another little stylish touch. You can actually take the neck and the croup, which is that slope down towards the tail, and make those shorter.
Yep,
and
that's the angle of the
adds
pelvis.
a little
the
bit.
Ilium,
it
the
adds
top
a little
of the pelvis,
bit of
ischium, the bottom of the pelvis, that croup area. But
and make
even
the
if they aren't really right, you
underneath.
can kind of like trim it so it looks like it is.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the ways I style my doodles is I take the tuck up, which is in that loin area on the underneath side. I scissor that up really close, make them look like they've got a skinny little waist. And then I'll make a nice deep roundish dip underneath the rib cage. And I will go slightly shorter on the neck and at the croup so that their head does kind of like an hourglassy thing down to the body, and then likewise down to the tail. And it actually prevents matting. See, doing a slightly shorter neck and a slightly shorter croup where the tail is moving all the time, that prevents matting. Doing a slightly shorter inner back leg and at the scoop of the back leg, the turn of the back leg, that helps prevent matting.
Yeah.
But it's
Just-
also very stylish.
Just out of curiosity, Jennifer, when you're doing this, so you're going over with a snap-on comb, different lengths,
Yes.
and then scissoring it up. About how long are you taking on? How long does it take for the haircut?
I mean, if I'm doing, let's just say I'm doing a normal 50, 60 pound doodle, which is a full sized doodle. And that's, that's a lot of our cuts. To do the finish work on that after it's been bathed and blow dried.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's like a half hour.
Half hour? Okay. I'm just curious, just seeing, I know it's...
And you can do a lot with snap-on combs. You can totally, you don't have to hand scissor all that, but you press in hard on the areas you want to go shorter, and you skim away on the areas that you want to leave longer. And I think two of the most important areas to leave longer, well, just in general, legs should be longer if possible, if lifestyle permits, because legs are skinny, right? Yeah. If you shave a dog down completely, no matter what its breed is, I call that the watermelon on toothpicks look, because their torsos are big and their legs are skinny. Okay.
I have my owners
and
calling
it looks
it the
like
velvet doggy because their dog is this velvet. We brought it down to velvet. So they're like, oh, velvet doggies.
That's a nicer way than smoothie or whatever. But if you do a smoothie on a dog that is a hair, and remember all of this conversation, we're not talking about fur type dogs. We are talking about hair type dogs that get haircuts. Yeah. Okay. So all of these style things are all done on dogs that get haircuts, because you can style a dog with hair. But if you do the legs slightly fuller than the torso, that right there is a very lovely styling touch, because if I'm doing like a half-inch attachment, or even I'll never go shorter than a 4-blade on the body. So usually like between a half-inch and a 1-inch attachment on the body. But if I do like a 1.25 and kind of skim away on the legs and let the leg look equally balanced to the torso, a fuller, fluffier leg looks so much better than a shaved leg. So much better.
And if people are worried about that taking more time, that's going to be down in your prep work, because the actual trimming, the way I learned how to do it was much harder than what I learned later. The way I originally learned it was much harder. And then I think it was Linda Easton, or maybe it was somebody else. I've heard it a number of times now. Start off with the longest comb. And as you're doing things, so like start off with that 1-inch comb and do everything that's going to be a 1-inch comb. And as you go down shorter and those other comb lengths, you're blending it into your 1-inch comb. And I was like, oh,
she teaches do the legs first.
Yeah.
Because look, let's reverse it. Let's say that you do the bodies first, and then you go around and you set each of your legs, but then you have to go in and blend each of the legs where they go into the body, because you've done the shorter body and the longer legs. So then you have to go back and spend 10 more minutes blending.
And I used to do it that way. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
But if you take the longest blade first, and if you've done your coat prep, one clipper blade is no different than another one. So it's a matter of just switching them out pretty quickly and knowing your plan, which is, okay, I'm going to use this particular length on the legs and maybe on the back of the neck, or maybe on the side of the cheeks. And then I'm going to go down to this next one and the next one and the next one. And it can be really fast and efficient.
And when you do the longer parts, when you do the legs first and you leave them a little bit longer, and then you take your slightly shorter snap-on, and then as you're doing the body, you can blend it right down into those legs without that extra step. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I think it's one of the best things Linda has ever taught me. I'm the same way.
And we got some comments in here. Crystal says, we do lamb cuts for that reason. Usually a length or two longer on the legs than the body. Doodles just don't look great one length all over, in her opinion. Yeah, I agree.
No,
I think most dogs one length all over.
No
they,
dog
they just
does.
don't look right. Yeah. And then Groomer
The
Jen
only
says,
dog
clip
that's
your back or
supposed to
hair
be
back. Which saves time and allows for efficient grooming for that type of trim, especially on the curly
Sorry, say that
coats.
part again.
Groomer Jen
did
is
she
talking
say?
about clipper vacs or hair vac systems save so much time and allow for efficient grooming for that type of trim, especially on curly coats like our doodles. And it
I've
makes
heard that it
maneuvering so
does. You don't have
easy.
to comb as much because it lifts the hair for you. You don't have
So
to
I
stop and lift
really
with your
like
comb all
clipper
the time.
vac. Clipper vac is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't necessarily have to go over it as many times. But yeah, just another way to use our tools and use them really efficiently.
And I actually really think that one of the major things that you can do, if you are a groomer who's doing pretty much kennel cuts, which is equal length of leg and body all over, if you can just add, just go up to the next larger size on the legs and because remember how if you look at a dog skeletally, if you shave down a dog, their legs are really skinny compared to their torsos. Every breed,
Yeah.
no matter what its breed, looks better when the legs are longer than the torso, and hopefully in a more tubular way. That's a big standard thing in our shop.
Yeah. And I also want to mention here too that sometimes we do a little bit of corrective grooming for dogs that are simply overweight.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, like,
nicely
okay,
said.
I don't want to leave you with the really tiny legs because your body is huge. And
Huge.
like
Yeah.
let's just how can I balance out and help this dog look balanced? And I think we need to talk about the terriers too, because while they
Yep.
don't necessarily have a lot of variety with the styling, well, they have their own individual breed variety.
They have breed standard cuts.
Breed
Yeah.
standard cuts, but I think that there's a lot of neat styling with the terriers too.
I do want to ask before you get into that really quick, because we are going to be talking about hand stripping in a couple weeks. So maybe hold the terriers for that night.
Okay.
But I did want to ask about the and your thoughts on the puppy cut.
Well, first of all, there is no such thing.
Unless it's a standard poodle who's under
every
a year
shop
old.
defines it differently. Some people call a puppy cut a shave down, and some people call a puppy cut no cut. It's just floppy. It really varies by the shop, and that's also part of that pedomorphism obsession with wanting our dogs to look like they were when they're puppies. But basically, every shop kind of defines it their own way. In my shop, it's a slightly longer leg, and it's a medium length on the body and a nice little round head, and it is towards the look of a shorter ear, a rounder head, opening up the eyes, making them look more like that, that part that appeals to our nucleus accumbens in our brain and gives us a dopamine hit when we look at a little round face that looks like a human baby. That's kind of a lot of people want their dogs. They will come in with an adult Shih Tzu, but show me a picture of them when they were 6 months old and says, make them look like that. And then you have to explain to them, actually, I can't do that. I can't make it look like that. I can go with this length and with this shape, but it's not going to be the same. Yeah. So they're always disappointed that you can't magically transform their dog back into when it was so cute as a puppy.
I think the average owner doesn't really understand until someone explains it, because they're like, that's the haircut I want to buy. Like, but, I have the hair that's on my head and I can't look like someone who has really curly hair. Like, I mean, that's just not going to happen for me, But I think that puppy cut is one of those tricky ones, because we have to kind of let owners know, okay, what are you looking for? Because puppy cut means 100 different things to 100 different people.
It sure does.
And are you talking about like 8-week-old puppy? Like you want him smooth? Because I've had a couple people who that's what they wanted. Or do you want that kind of, he's just growing out and kind of all rounded? And it depends.
Yeah, so so you can't really, go by puppy cut, because it does really truly mean different things to different people, and just to tell them how to use and show them pictures. I do think it's a good idea if we all snap pictures of all of our clients and then develop a sort of a portfolio. I will say one thing, Dara, about your terriers before the hand stripping part, which is that just in general, terriers, it should be more angular, that rather than the rounding that we've been talking about and the blending that we've been talking about with fuller bell bottomy legs and things like that. terriers should be, with triangular shape and pointed things, and it's supposed to be a more chiseled, angular look
Yeah.
as a
And
general style.
also, whenever we're looking at some of these trims too, also go back to the breed standard, because sometimes there's a reason why we want that muscle to show up. And you find that a lot more with the terriers. Like this look is to enhance that shoulder and make it look really strong, and this muscle
Right.
here
And
and
the
this
hip.
muscle
Yep.
there, whereas other breeds might be to make their back look really short. I remember I was at a conference and they were talking about Bichons, and they were kidding around that they were dachshunds in drag, and that they were actually big long dogs that we were trying to make look really boxy just by
Right.
growing hair in the right places.
Yep.
But you're trying to enhance a particular area of that dog, and
Right.
just kind of take a look and say, well, what area are they trying to enhance?
And I think a discussion of style would not be complete without referencing the wonderful book by Melissa Verplank, Theory of Five, which
I like
is,
that book. Yeah,
it's a great book for style choices. So basically what she's done, and it's absolutely brilliant, is that, especially given over the last 40 years, if I've seen one thing over the last 40 years of grooming, it's been the massive increase of the number of mixed breed dogs. And so what do you do with all the mixed breed dogs that aren't a defined breed with a defined look? And so she writes this book, Theory of Five, and basically what she says in it is that there's 5 decisions in grooming: head, tail, feet and legs, body style, and ears.
Ears. Yep.
Okay.
And then
And
each of those has 5 choices.
And basically, she then goes into Schnauzer ear, German trim ear, tasseled ear, long flowing ear, or little round ear, or whatever. And she gives you, pictures from other breeds. And basically, it's like a cafeteria. You say, okay, I'll take that ear and I'll put it with that head and that leg style and that tail style, and you can kind of, it's a great book for creative styling, because you can mix and match it, especially on a mixed breed dog. But I have this happen all the time. I have people that want me to put a Schnauzer cut on a poodle and a poodle cut on a Schnauzer. I've had that too. So you don't have to do the breed standard style when it's not a show dog. You can do whatever you want.
I really like her book, because also if you have somebody who does not want the breed look, but you're like, I really want to know how to do a nice carrot tail. Like I kind of want this to look like a Cairn Terrier tail, but it doesn't have to be breed standard. That's not what this owner really wants, but can I add that flair? How do I do a perfect flag tail? And honestly, I mean, myself included, I think we can all say there are some times that we just don't see these breeds very often. And every time there's some breed I don't see very often, I'm like, ooh, let's take a look. And especially with so many breeds coming over from other places that they're common there, but not real common here, that, like, oh, let me look that up. It's always a research project, but to have a book like Theory of Five, if I know what kind of tail that breed is supposed to get, I can reference that and, okay, how am I going to do that tail?
It's a great book. I highly recommend it for people that want to get ideas about styling, basically taking just certain body parts from different looks from different breeds and mixing and matching them on a dog. It's actually kind of cool. You could put
it's actually a good book for showing to owners too.
Yeah.
It's a good one to show to owners. Like, I could do this type of tail or this type of tail on your dog. I can't do the others on your dog, but I could do these two, and to give them an idea. Owners need to see it.
Yep, I agree. Visual learners, we're all visual learners.
And as a like non-grooming example, a friend of mine, when he was looking for houses, if it didn't have a bed in the room, he didn't know what the room was for. And he's literally a rocket scientist. And we're like, Tim, it could be a bedroom, it could be an office. He says, this room, I didn't know what it was used for. We're like, really? Some people just really need to see it, so think about it like you're selling real estate. Like, you could do this type of tail or this type of tail.
Yeah.
You know, you could do this type of ear or this type of ear.
Here's another thing that we used to do back in the day that we never do now. We would do shaved faces, even not just on poodles sometimes, and then leave a donut mustache and beard. You could take an adapted schnauzer cut. You could actually make the cheeks really short and then do like a little donut mustachy thing or something like that. Mindy is just texting me that she might try to jump on. Let me respond to her. You keep talking there. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, mustaches are kind of fun too. Like all of those old poodle styles. I learned most of them from Shirley Calstone's book, which was, oh gosh, I don't know when her book came out, but it was a classic by the time I started grooming in the 80s. So, but all of these different styles and different choices that we have are just a lot of fun. But really think about what helps that dog look really good, but also is going to be easy for the owners to take care of. Because really, if we're not helping our owners take care of their dog, they are very likely to just kind of give up or bring them someplace else. So we kind of want to. Groomer Jen says she likes a good mustache. like I said, up in Portsmouth, like those are a lot of dogs that go to the beach out all the time. Those owners are pulling sand and seaweed out of their dogs. And if we can help them with that, even if it's a matter of helping them be on a brushing schedule, offering services in between grooms and helping keep them on a schedule so that they're not constantly having trouble with it. Let's see. Are we caught up on all of the
Chrissy,
comments?
can you see me?
We cannot see you.
Because when I pulled over, you cannot see me anymore.
We can see you.
I
we can hear you.
That's what happened. I somehow lost this because I went, there it is.
Hey,
there it is. I'm back.
She's back.
I lost it when I went to go tell Mindy. Mindy just got back to her hotel. Both Mindy and I are traveling back from Intergroom, and so she just arrived at her hotel, and she was going to try to maybe jump on, but we're getting near the end of the show, so don't know if she can get on in time or not.
Groomer Jen is wondering if Dara will be at the Teton Grooming Expo. She heard a rumor that you were.
Teton. Grand Tetons, Idaho. Yes.
Yes. Unfortunately, Groomer Jen, I can't make it. I couldn't commit. And it is because I am actually at a thoroughbred owners conference for horse racing that same weekend in Saratoga.
Wow.
And it was a tough decision.
Aww.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just want to shout out to the Grand Teton show, the Teton Grooming show that's going to be, this is a very first time that a smaller population state is putting on its own regional show. I am so proud of them.
Yeah.
Those ladies that stepped it all up and said, we're going to have a show in our area.
Well,
everybody should do that. There are so many places where
I interviewed Gabby. She's one of my first graduates from the school.
Well, of course, that's where she gets it from then.
Gabby,
get her.
She has crushed it. Oh, let me add Mindy in here. Hi, Mindy.
Hey, Mindy.
Hello.
Right.
Gabby, yes.
So it's
going to be a fantastic show.
I'm so excited for them. I'm going to take Mindy's arrival as my opportunity to sign off and head back to Chicago. I'm parked in a truck stop in Indiana because I didn't get home in time, to do this. So I'm signing off from my car, and Mindy can talk about style from here. And thank you, Chrissy, and thank you, Dara. And I'll see you guys next Monday night.
We'll see you next week, Jennifer. Thanks. Be safe travels.
I will. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Mindy.
You're right, Groomer Jen. It was a really tough decision because we hadn't gotten our dates, and I knew it was going to be right around the same time. And I did talk to Gabby about it before and let her know because I felt it was so crushing, her being so close to my heart and near and dear. It was like, but I will say Gabby shares my same love and passion for the horses. So she got it. Hi, Mindy. I still don't have a
Hello.
camera.
I see that.
I know. I think I might have to order a new one. I'm wondering if it's old. It's pretty old, so maybe it's time for a new one.
Maybe.
But so yeah, we've been all over. I'll let Chrissy fill you in.
We've been talking styling stuff. Just, basically everything we could think of about how styles change and the German
Yeah.
trim and the various options that we can kind of give our owners, and sometimes blow pens and doing fun color and Asian fusion. And
In fact, I
we've
just
covered a
did
lot.
an Asian fusion class at where did I just Intergroom. I don't think where I just came from. And it's becoming very, very popular.
It's so cute.
I found out because I did the class, and there were like 4 or 5 there's like 5 classrooms, 5 classes going on at the same time, and I was told that my Asian fusion was the largest class of that hour.
Yay! That's awesome.
So
that's great.
Yeah, it was full. It was full, and so was my business class. So I was pretty happy with that.
Awesome.
So we got to talk about maybe getting some Asian fusion classes on Whole Pet Academy.
Okay.
That'd be great.
We can do that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm game for any new classes.
Yeah, because I actually after the class, I had several people like, oh, do you do YouTube channel? You have a YouTube channel or anything like that? I'm like, I'm really bad about it. No, not really. But I can at least maybe push them towards the school. Then if I get those get some of those classes on Whole Pet.
All right, we'll stay on after the show, and we can talk before you pass out.
Yeah.
Because we got a few minutes, but did you see anything new or different on the floor at Intergroom or the last few shows that you went, oh my God, that's really cool?
Not really. And I think the reason for that is because they're just trying to struggle keeping up with what they have in stock.
Okay.
The one thing that I would like to touch base on about shows, the expos and stuff, though, is that there was a little bit of talk that how it was kind of disappointing that vendors weren't giving things away, like the sample shampoos and things like that, or buy 2 get 1 free, things like that. But what I would like groomers to understand is these vendors that go there, if you look, they really have tried to keep their prices low, even though their tariffs and their shipping and everything has gone up.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got to kind of look at it as, do you want the free stuff, or do you the little piddly bottle, 4-ounce bottles of shampoo, or would you rather have it at a better price point?
Yeah. And COVID changed a lot of accessibility for a lot of products. And sometimes it was things like shampoo bottles. Sometimes it's things like shipping. There have been a lot of supply chain issues for a lot of different things that you wouldn't even think of. Like the lid for your shampoo bottle could be the thing that held up things for months.
Yes.
So show specials are awesome, but they're specials. And,
exactly.
Still support your businesses when you go there.
And hopefully we get to a time to where we can do that again. It's just, they're really trying to keep things affordable for the groomers right now. So.
Yes. So was
Groomer
it
Jen says that she plans on going to Mindy's class at Teton Expo.
Oh, which one?
Ah,
How
she
many
didn't
are you
say.
doing?
I'm
Yeah,
doing
how many are you
3.
doing?
Three?
You're doing
Oh,
3.
great.
Oh, excellent. What are you doing?
Oh, you would
Uh-oh,
ask me
it's a
that.
quiz.
I know I am doing Asian fusion.
Mhm.
I know I am doing You Just Need to Calm Down.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm doing the geriatric,
Oh, good.
my geriatric certification class.
Nice.
And so,
Wish I was going to that show.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gloria Jen says she's
She
going to all
is.
3 of them.
Yep.
She listed them off. Good. Excellent.
Well, this month we have a lot more to talk about. So I don't know. Has your schedule settled down, Mindy? Because I know this is like your month.
This is finally, I am home now until June.
Yay!
Yay!
Until Pet Quest. I am home now. So, yes, I'll be
we're gonna.
jumping on more.
All right. So the next few weeks we're going to continue our style and talk. We are going to be doing. I just had it here. There we are. Hand stripping next week.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Fabulous Faces. And we're rounding out the month with sensational scissoring.
Nice. That's a fun month.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We've never done anything like this on the Groomer's Cut, but there hasn't been, a lot of us, and obviously I don't contribute much in this area. So we need the voices to come out here so that we can talk about this.
Yes.
And that's good. So this was a good kickoff. The
Yep.
one thing I did want to ask Jennifer before she had left, and maybe we'll touch on it later on or in another month or so, was the difference in all the breed trims. Just a quick rundown of why they are what they are.
Okay, I can actually talk about this.
Okay.
And what it is that each breed's trim is actually to accentuate to the breed standard. Okay. I'm most knowledgeable on poodles, so I'll talk about poodles. Where a German trim, you accentuate you make sure, and it's also because you're able then to correct any faults that the dog has in a trim. So if I have a German trim and I have a slab-sided poodle, I can then make more hair at the spring of rib and make it look like it has more rib. And then using the hair in the front of the chest to make the dog look like its legs are underneath them per this breed standard. So every trim, it's based on the breed standard and also the function of the dog. Those are the two things that are what these cuts are based on.
Yeah,
If that
absolutely.
makes
Like the
sense.
spaniels and stuff. I mean, they're supposed to protect them from when they're running into briars, things like that. So many of
Exactly.
these choices are to help that dog with their job, or to help them look the way that the breed standard is requiring them to look.
Yep. And then like the continental on a poodle, actually now it has gotten, of course, more embellished than it was. But the whole point of it is those palms on its hips are to keep its hips warm, the joint warm in the water. The jacket of the poodle is to keep their organs warm while they're in the water. So but if they had hair everywhere, it would weigh them down in the water. So they took off what was not necessary and then left what they really needed.
Yeah, and they started doing those trims was it the 1500s?
Oh, long. I don't even know how long ago. Because I mean,
I don't know.
it started
Yeah.
actually in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
when they went to France is when they started embellishing them more.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun trim.
Yeah.
A lot of maintenance.
Yeah. Keeping poodles in those big long trims and wraps and oil and
Oh yeah.
for a while. It's
You
a
know,
lot of work.
and my poodle's in a German trim. And just, I mean, anybody who has ever walked anywhere around with me realizes everybody's like, oh my God, that dog is so beautiful. And it's like, I just say, don't cut all of its hair off. Leave some hair on the dog, and it can be.
Yeah, right.
Don't 5F it all the way down. But so
All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about this month,
it sounds like it.
and it'll be good. So, because we're just at the over. Anything else? Want to wrap it up, or any parting words? Anybody else got anything out there? If you do, you can always send us a message too, and tag us on Facebook. You know, everyone in the Pet Pro educators, we're all watching and monitoring that site. So
Yeah.
you
Thank you guys for being here and asking
Yeah.
questions and joining in the conversation.
Yeah, we do like
That's
when
really
we have
good.
our chat active. It makes for a nice show.
Yeah.
So if not, we're gonna end this and wrap it up, and we will see everyone next Monday. What did I say? Hand stripping.
Hand stripping is next week.
Yep, hand stripping's next week, right? Yes.
All right.
Hand stripping,
Yeah.
fabulous faces, and I love it. Sensational scissoring.
Great.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. Yep. All right, everyone. Have a great grooming week, and we'll see you next week.
All right.